You by saying congratulations on the brand new album. I've had a chance to sit down and take a listen to it, and it's an amazing album, so congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. Nice to hear that you liked it.
So, mate, tell us a little bit about this album. Did you, as a band, have a goal going into this album of something that you wanted to achieve with this album?
Uh, no, nothing special. I mean, whenever you set out to record a new album, you always try to do better than the album before, so to say. So that's what we always do. And I don't know, it's up to you guys to judge however we succeeded in it, or if it's the same shit as the past albums. But I don't know. But I mean, no specific goals as that we would to set out to achieve a certain goal or anything. We just write a bunch of songs and record them because this is what we love to do.
So tell us a little bit about the songwriting process. How do you guys go about writing your songs, and were there anything influencing you when you sat down to work on this album?
No, it's pretty much the same as always. I mean, you're always kind of influenced, get influences from the music you listen to, and yeah, whatever. And then, I mean, you start writing bits and pieces, a guitar riff here and a chorus there and whatever, and then you fight within the band to get the stuff together. And yeah, after a certain amount of time, you got an album done.
So I loved your quote in the press release. You said that there's some weird stuff on this album. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit about that.
That's for you to find out. No, I mean we're always kind of like I don't know. I mean, on the early albums we were kind of people who used to call us progressive metal or whatever, and on the later albums we turned more to traditional power metal or whatever. We never kind of think in those terms. I mean, as I said, we just write songs that we feel like are good and cool songs, but we always, I don't know if there's any reason, but we always try to squeeze in some weird stuff. Could be some short rhythmic things or unusual harmonies or whatever, just for the hell of it. I don't know. It's just the way we write songs, I guess.
Yeah, I found the album was that perfect mix of modern day metal and old school metal, but does it kind of frustrate you when people try to put your music in a certain genre or something like that?
Not really. I don't pay any attention to that. I mean, people are free to call our music whatever they feel like calling it. To me, it's just heavy metal anyway. So
now, you brought in Andreas to work on this album as well. Tell us a little bit about Andreas and why you decided to bring him in for this album.
It was kind of like Kenneth, who played on the two previous albums. Things really didn't work out with him in the long run, so he left the band, and we needed another guitar player. And of course, we asked Andreas because he's a friend of ours since way back, and we just asked him, "Hey, would like to join?" Yeah, he said, and that was it.
Yeah. So, do you feel that you two work well together? Because the guitars on this album sound absolutely amazing. So tell us a little bit about what that was like to work with him. And like you said, he's a friend from a long way back, but there's a lot of guitarists out there. Why was he the perfect guitarist for you to work with?
He's a nice guy and he was available. That's good enough. And I mean, I know known him since, I don't know, 30, 40 years or something. And I mean, I knew him that he's a very talented guitar player. So it was a no-brainer to give him a call and talk to him. And he also lived in the same city as Ronnie the singer and Johan the bass player on the album as well. And those three guys also had a studio together. So it was really a no-brainer. He just fit in very nicely right away. Unfortunately, or whatever, I mean, after the album was done, both Johan and Andreas left the band because they really didn't have the time it takes to be in a touring band, so to say. So they just stepped aside, and we took back Tommy, who played with us on the earlier albums, and also Marcus on guitars, who've been playing with us years and years before this also. So yeah, a lot of member changes, but I mean, we all get older and got various obligations in our private lives and whatever. So just to try to make things work for the band as well. So, but I mean, we're all think that it turns out for the better for everybody as it is now. So
yeah, for the young musicians that are out there listening to this show, how difficult is it to juggle, a music career and everyday life?
Almost impossible, I would say. I mean, for our band, for example, I mean, we're 5 guys. All of us have children of various ages. We all work full time. I mean, imagine yourself. I mean, there's always some kid that is sick and needs visitation, having a flu or whatever, or fall and break a leg or whatever. And somebody got to work over or work during the weekends and whatnot. So it's really a difficult puzzle to make everything work. So of course it's frustrating from time to time, but I mean we're pretty easygoing anyway. So we usually make it work one way or the other.
Yeah. So how has the last couple of years been like for you guys? Because of course the world has gone through a pandemic, and I know for Sweden you didn't have the lockdowns that we did here. We were locked down for 300 days over 2 years. What was it like during that time for you there, and did it kind of affect the way that you put this album together?
It didn't affect the way we put this album together, but of course it affected us as well, and I'm happy to say that to be living in Sweden, since we didn't have any lockdowns. Of course there was no shows to play or concerts to attend, so I mean it was kind of boring. But that's about it. Everyday life just struggled on as usual anyway. So we just thought that, well, let's make another album instead. And we just focused on that. So it really didn't affect us that much, except that the everyday life got a bit boring. But not as bad as I guess it's affected you. I mean, 300 days in a lockdown, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, and it was a pretty full-on lockdown too. For most of that time, we weren't allowed to go any further than 5 kilometers from our house, and we were only allowed out for 2 hours each day. So, yeah, it was pretty tough.
Yeah, but did that help or not, really?
I think it did. I think we didn't have a very high death toll, but the scary thing is now we're back open. And I think about 90% of our population is vaccinated, but the figure now here in Melbourne is about 9,000 cases a day, which is quite high because of when you consider we're not a big city. So I think it did work. It kept down the death toll, but I think it's kind of made it now that there's more and more people catching it. I mean, our death toll now is 4 times the amount a day than what it was during the lockdown. So yeah,
so I mean, of course the lockdown may help, but I mean nobody's getting away in the end anyway, I kind of think. So well, we took a pretty big hit with the numbers of death tolls here in Sweden, but nowadays there's barely, I mean, people still get that disease, but not that many, and it's not really that bad. So I mean, I guess the death tolls are really down to a minimum here in Sweden nowadays.
Yeah. And I know, have you been able to get out and do some shows as well? Like, I know that everything's kind of opened back up in Europe. Have you been able to get out and play some of these tracks live?
Yeah, we've done a couple of shows so far, and we got more planned as well. So that was really, really nice to finally get back up on stage again. And I mean, the audience is also very great. I mean, I'm not only a guitar player, I'm a metal fan as well, so I like so.
Yeah, one of the things we've really found here is that since we've all gone back and been able to go to shows, that people, I think, have realised not to take live shows for granted. We spent 2 years with no live shows, and I think previously to that, because we'd always been able to go to 3 or 4 shows a week, we kind of took music for granted. We've all learnt now not to take it for granted. Is that something that you've seen over there as well?
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, it's really a reminder that you shouldn't really take anything for granted, whether it's live shows with metal bands or just getting together for a barbecue or meeting friends for a beer at the pub or whatever. You really need to enjoy those moments more than we've probably done before this. But it's really a wake-up call to everybody, I think. And also to take care of yourself and show respect to other people and, things like that.
Definitely. So you mentioned that you've played a couple of shows. What are your plans now for the rest of the year, especially with the album coming out in August?
We got a couple of shows during the summer here in Sweden. Nothing abroad booked yet. But the album is released in September sometime, I think. And we'll see when that day comes. Hopefully the world hasn't gone completely mad with Russia and whatever, so that we'll perhaps, if everything goes as planned, that we might go on tour later this year.
Yeah.
To promote the album. Well, nobody knows.
Yeah, exactly.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
We've got our fingers crossed for you as well. How do you feel with the album coming out? Do you get really nervous before you've got an album coming out, or do you get pretty excited that finally your fans will get to hear the new music?
Yeah, of course you're kind of excited because, I mean, we released a couple of albums throughout the years, but it's still kind of, you're still the same kind of feeling. I mean, of course, not as much as when your first album in your life is being released. That was really a nervous time because you really didn't know what to expect. But I mean, you get experienced over the years, but it's still a little bit of the same feeling, a kind of excitement, and just to see what people think about the new album. And so we're really looking forward to that.
Awesome. Well, to finish up the interview, what would you like to say to people out there who are eagerly anticipating this album and can't wait to sit down and listen to it?
When you listen to it, do as I used to do. I mean, when I finally get the finished product in my hands, I just lock myself in my studio, turn off the light, open a cold beer, and just play it as loud as I can, and I listen it from start to finish. And then I kind of not only listening to it with my ears, but also with my gut feeling, so to say, and really feel the music. That's when I make up my mind whether I like the album or not. Not that, I mean, that's the same thing with other bands' albums when I listen to them as well. So, open a beer and crank it up loud and have a good time. I hope you like it.
Definitely. And also, this is one of those albums I think everybody's got to get a physical copy of because the artwork looks amazing as well.
Yeah, nice to hear that you liked it. It's our drummer, Peter, who made it, so...
Well, it's absolutely amazing, and we just want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on our show tonight. It's been an honor having you on the show, and hopefully one day we even get to see you guys touring in Australia as well.